Hello, this is Brian. Today is Tuesday, February 7th, 2022, and I'm along the trails of Mount Soledad Natural Park in La Jolla in San Diego. And I want to do a Spotlight on Shrubs episode today. And I want to focus on another one of our Ceanothus species, as we are moving into the time of year when Ceanothus shrubs are starting to bloom like crazy. Ceanothus, aka California lilacs. Today's specimen is very special. Well, they all are, according to me, according to a lot of people. But this one is extra special because it is a rare endemic species. And what we have here is Wart-Stem Ceanothus, aka Coast Ceanothus, San Diego Ceanothus, also known as Wart-Stem lilac, Coast lilac, and Coast or San Diego Ceanothus. And this is it right here. This is Ceanothus verrucosus. And when I say lilac, Ceanothus is often called California lilac because when they're in full bloom, a lot of times it reminds people of lilac bushes. But lilac bushes are not related to Ceanothus. See, Ceanothus, including this, are in the Buckhorn family, the Rhamnaceae. The true lilacs in people's gardens are in the olive family, the Oceanside. So what we have here is usually a medium to sometimes quite large evergreen shrub, and it gets its name wart-stem from the presence of these warty knobs on the twigs. And what these basically are modified leaf stipules that harden off into these relatively cone or maybe even onion-shaped wart protuberances. So that's where we get the name Wart-Stem Ceanothus. This one is a very localized endemic, mostly to here in San Diego County, maybe into Northern Baja, but I will do a little bit more research of, what other outlying areas might host this shrub. And here you have it. A lot of times these things are quite wild in shape. When they get older and taller, sometimes they can get up to about 8-10 feet tall. And they are known for these thick leathery leaves in chaparral. What a surprise. But I digress. But yes, thick leathery leaves that are kind of round and have often, not all the time, but often have a little notch at the front tip of the leaves. As you can kind of see next to my thumb, this leaf has a little bit of a notch at the end of it. And that's quite common in a lot of species of Ceanothus. So Wart-Stem Ceanothus is one of quite a few that can potentially have the little notch at the tip of the leaves. So we're talking about the twigs having all these warty stipules. So the twigs are kind of grayish, kind of thin, and then it starts grading down towards this charcoaly blackish gray bark, as you see here. And it kind of has these little kind of rough little furrows. And sometimes when the shrub gets older, these trunks sometimes get kind of fluted, kind of wavy edged and fluted. So sometimes the trunk will kind of be kind of awkward or kind of odd. And you can see this is a larger specimen. You can see the trunk down here. But a lot of times these can be quite fluted with their lower branches and their trunks. And that's quite common in a lot of the more closely related Ceanothus species. Some closely related ones tend to have more fluted trunks, while other ones have regular grayish trunks. So we're again looking at the leaves. Dark green, leathery on top. Dark green, leathery on top. Lighter with the presence of some light pubescence or light fuzziness underneath. And again, evergreen leaf. And then let's also talk more about the main characteristic of this when I come back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot a couple pictures of the leaves in the trunks, and then when I come back, we're going to talk about one of the most obvious features that you're probably waiting for me to talk about. One of the most obvious features of a California Ceanothus. So I'm going to take a couple pictures and then I will be back and show you some more details. All right, so shot a couple pictures, some with the leaves, the twigs, and now it's time to talk about the obvious. So I'm here in early February, and this plant is lit up in its blossoms. Ceanothus shrubs out here are generally known for their very showy floral displays. Again, why sometimes they call them California lilacs. And of course, Ceanothus is not limited to California, but I believe California has one of, if not the highest, variability and variety of species of this plant. So we're looking at these flowers. In mass, they create quite a festive display. Some areas where this plant is very, very densely populated, it'll turn the slopes white. And it'll be glistening in the sun. So the flowers are going to be really hard to get while I'm shooting video up close. But I'm going to give you kind of a little overview of these 5-petaled or 5-lobed flowers with a little dark green or blackish center where I can see the nectar very clearly. These are definitely bee magnets. I see lots of bees flying around in these Ceanothus shrubs. Some of these Ceanothus species will have a very slight perfume that when plants are massed together can be quite noticeable. This has a very, very slight, very almost unnoticeable, kind of smells like pear flowers. If you ever smell the pear tree's flowers, it's not exactly perfumey or extremely fragrant, but for some people, it's kind of a pleasant, kind of woodsy aroma. And I have to say the same about Ceanothus verrucosus. So you can see here, 5-petal flowers. And let me go shoot a couple still photos of it so you can get a little bit better appreciation of the absolutely beautiful blooms that these shrubs have. All right, hopefully those pictures will give you a better perspective of what they look like a little bit more up close without the motion of the camera distracting or blurring them. But now let's go back up a little bit and look at the profile of this one. When they're younger, a lot of times they're a little more rounded and lower growing, but when they get older, like when they're decades old, they sprawl out and they create these characteristic shapes, like this right here. A very charismatic species right here. The Wart-Stem Ceanothus, again, is a local endemic species found in coastal and near coastal foothill canyons, mostly below 3,000 feet, I believe. I don't believe that they're the most cold hardy of Ceanothus. You want to talk about cold hardy, talk about species like Ceanothus perplexans, which I have not yet to spotlight because I have not seen that one in bloom yet. That's in the mountains, but here we have beautiful Ceanothus verrucosus, Wart-Stem Ceanothus. So this is an absolutely breathtakingly beautiful shrub. And so now we're going to talk about the seed capsules. Now, I've seen some older seed capsules on some of the other species, or the specimens. Now, seed capsules are pretty typical in Ceanothus. They're rounded and warty-ish, mostly kind of warty-ish. There are no old ones that are still intact, because what happens is when the seed capsules ripen, they burst open and the chambers of the seed capsules fall off and the seeds spit all over the land, waiting for fire to come and raise the land and in giving them an opportunity to sprout in relatively clear sunlit conditions, provided there's enough rainfall during the winter. So what happens is the seed capsules are usually 3-chambered, and they burst open, and then they leave behind a little saucer-shaped seed capsule bottom, as you can kind of see here to the left, to the right of my hand. Kind of leaves behind a little cup-shaped or saucer-shaped seed capsule bottom. You see, and that's very common. You'll see that on a lot of our Ceanothus species. So it's not a full seed capsule. It's too early for them to form their seed capsules, but they will often burst open. The chambers of the seed capsules will fall on the floor, and the seeds will spit out everywhere, basically. So let's get a couple close-ups of the old seed capsules for a better perspective. All right, so hopefully that was able to provide a little more detailed look at what the seed capsules look like after they've burst out their seeds. So, as with quite a few of other species of Ceanothus here in Southern California, they bloom during the winter months. They take advantage of when the soil is constantly being re-wetted by rain, if the climate goes according to plan, of course. This year we've had some pretty good rain so far, so I'm looking like we're having a really good year here with Ceanothus species. I did a spotlight video on the woolly Ceanothus, which has the bluish purplish flowers, over at Mission Trails last week, and those were getting close to full bloom. So a lot of them prefer to bloom during the winter. Temperatures in this area don't get cold enough to really freeze them up, so there's really no need to worry. So they can bloom early and get the ball rolling on seed production before the soil gets too dry. So we're talking about they like coastal canyons in chaparral. Chaparral being their preferred habitat. So there you have it. Wart-Stem Ceanothus. Ceanothus verrucosus. Right there. Beautiful specimens here in coastal San Diego County. Thanks for watching my Spotlight on Shrubs video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed presenting it. It's a species I've really wanted to feature for quite a while, and now that I'm here when they're in full bloom, it was time. So thanks for watching, and I will see you on another Spotlight video coming soon. See you on the next episode.